Yo, what's up, vlog? What's up, YouTube? I don't usually talk like this. Is really weird. I'm gonna stop. If y'all are wondering why I'm always in my car, it's because I live in it. There's probably a card here or here about how I'm homeless. But anyways, part four of this exciting series that I just absolutely love doing. I love sharing my story in the hopes that it can help someone else. And anyways, yeah, part 4. So if you haven't watched the first 3 videos, I suggest going back and watching part 1, 2, and 3. It'll make a lot more sense. You know, part 1 was leading up to the drug use, 2 was getting into the drug use, my first 2 relapses in the game, being involved in the game, and then part 3 is me using as like a normal person just while still trying to use. And it was weird, and obviously that time got bad again, as it always does with drug use. It just escalates. And but I end up going to rehab in part 3 twice. First time wasn't serious. Second time I did really well, got awards and everything. And so going into part 4 right here, that I'll be following along just like in the other videos. I end up going to rehab, and after rehab I go to the halfway house in North Miami Beach with some of the, I still have those friends to today. Jim, Daniel, Nicholas, Greg, Brian, and Bart. Bart was one of the funniest people that I have ever met. I had the pleasure of living with this kid, and he would always put a smile on my face. I'm like remembering stuff right now, but anyways, rest in peace, Bart. I hope you're looking out for all of us. And anyways, I stayed there for probably 3 or 4 months. I was working a Domino's job. Yeah, bruh. I just got another job at this place called Delray Beach. It's gonna be way better than freaking Domino's. Delivering pizzas, and was like, I'm cured. I'm good. So I drove my car back to Sherman, but as soon as I left the halfway house, I drove for several hours, stopped at a hotel, and got a drink. In recovery, in the drug scene, if you use anything mind-altering, it's considered a relapse, which I don't completely agree with nowadays, but I'll go into more detail about how I outlook recovery and my own personal thoughts about it in a later part. But you know, I didn't use meth, but this is the part where only addicts or alcoholics will understand this. I don't like that I said that only addicts or alcoholics understand this, but just like mindset-wise, they have a better comprehension of what's going on and what we've been through, so. It affected my clean time, which just made me want to go out and do other stuff, you know? But I don't know what it was that it just made me want to use. It was just, I obviously wasn't working the program properly or something. I'm not even really sure, but I wasn't working it properly, or else I wouldn't have relapsed. As far as the 12 steps go, they work if you work them. But I have a different comprehension of using the 12 steps. I still use them, just not the way other people do. I just used it for one drug specifically that I'm having a hard time with, not for anything else that doesn't give me an issue. Okay, so I leave the halfway house in Florida, start driving back to Texas, stop at a hotel, get the drink, and then I get back to Texas and got to the apartment here in Sherman. Immediately found a bag of needles and some old medication, and immediately used when I got back. And I went from the medication back over to meth, and I got kicked out of the apartment within 2 weeks. And after that, I came to this like realization where I was like, I really need to just fucking do something with my life. And so I moved in with 2 of my closest friends and tried to get into real estate, and I did. I got halfway through my courses. I was working with them and working for them at one point, and working a Domino's job here in Texas. The guy that I graduated with came back into my life and was in Dallas again. And so I was just like, screw it, I can use meth occasionally or something. And so I started to do that, and I got bad again. I would leave my best friend's house for a couple of days, come back, leave it for a couple of days, come back, and then one day I just went a week or so because I was using out in Dallas again, staying in hotels again. And this time I was like, I don't want to go back to Florida. I've already tried this twice. But I knew it was the right thing to do because I was either gonna die, I was either gonna be put in jail, or do what I ended up doing, which is find another institution. Because the first two I went to were the same rehabs, and I was like, I need a different rehab, I need to go somewhere else, and so I did that. Made it through rehab, went to a different halfway house, not by the same company as the rehab, but went to a different company, and I stayed out there for 6 months this time. So all in all, I've been back from Texas to Florida for about like a year and a half or so now. But this last time I stayed there for a long time. It was like 6 months. Through rehab, staying in halfway houses, working the most amazing job in the world, delivery dudes. That was freaking, it was the coolest job I've ever had. Yeah, I was doing really well. I got past the 12 steps. I was helping others. I was doing everything. I was like living life, I guess. I had a higher power. I was going to meetings and everything. I was sponsoring people. I had 3 sponsees. I stayed at the halfway houses I was staying at for such a long period of time without relapsing that they made me a manager of one of the houses. And so I was, you know, having to piss test people, making sure no one was getting high. But it was awesome. Life was good up until two things happened. The halfway houses, the company, it was getting shut down. So I had 2 weeks to leave the house that I was managing, and either find another halfway house, get in my own apartment, or just go out and try and figure something out. Yeah, so these halfway houses were shutting down. This was happening around 2017, which ironically is when I started making my YouTube videos on here, my vlogs. And so you can actually go back and watch from this point on to see the progression, like in my life and in my recovery. But anyways, at the same time that I was getting pretty much kicked out of the halfway houses, Hurricane Irma was coming. And so with those two things, I was just like, you know, all of my clients at my house were either getting high because the halfway houses were shutting down, they used it as an excuse to get high, or they were going home, you know, to New York, Georgia, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's people at rehab, they're from everywhere, you know. I was like one of 3 people from Texas. I ended up driving home. You know, I've been staying at the apartment again. Just been trying to start over again here in Texas, like I have the past several times. I'm just trying to stay clean from meth. This is gonna be kind of hard for me to say. Since being back in Texas, I did slip one time. I had like 120 days when I got back to Texas, and I completely fucked myself and used for one night because I set myself up. And I'm just gonna leave y'all with that cliffhanger right there. That is part 4, and I'm getting a little bit emotional, sad, because this video of me from 2 years ago is like coming to an end. you know, there's still a lot that has happened over the past 2 years. I made this video 2 years ago, and it's funny to look at myself and be like, you have no idea what the next 2 years is gonna hold for you, you know? And so anyways, in part 5, there's probably a little bit still left, and then we'll go into what has been happening. And I'm really happy I've just been making these videos, you know? Fuck the likes, fuck the subscribing, and fuck the comments and stuff. Like, legitimately, like, I've just enjoyed getting my story out there, and I really hope that these videos have been helping people out. You know, use these videos as like a meeting, or to reflect on yourself, or to not do what I do and just to listen to someone else that actually has been through it, you know what I mean? So with that said, I love y'all. Be looking out for part, I don't even know, 5? Was this 4? 5. Be looking out for 5, and we'll see y'all on the next one. See you later. Bye-bye.